I have no choice but to start today with the brazen and immoral, not just willingness, but desire to hurt Americans from the newly in control of the House of Representatives Republican Party because they believe it will help them in 2024. Yesterday, I told you about a post that the failed former President Donald Trump made to his social media platform, Truth Social.
Truth Social.
And to review that post, let's just put it up on the screen, where Donald Trump said, in all capital letters, quote, "Republicans can get almost everything back that the old broken crow Mitch McConnell and the real leader, China-centric Coco Chow, stupidly gave up to the Democrats over the last 2 years by simply playing tough in the upcoming debt ceiling negotiations. With the right negotiators, like all of those involved the other night on both sides for Speaker, it will be a beautiful and joyous thing for the people of our country to watch Make America Great Again." Now, you sometimes have to read between the lines when Trump speaks because it's not even clear. He knows what he's saying. In this case, he does know what he's saying. He is saying, shut down the government over the debt ceiling, damage the country, which will then show people how much they want Republicans in power and they will vote for us in 2024. Now, it was not just Donald Trump who became willing to say this over the last 24 hours. We have countless more examples now, and I'm going to look at a couple. First and foremost, last night, Sean Hannity, Fox News propagandist, hosted some kind of a sort of town hall type event with the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. And here is Sean Hannity suggesting to Kevin McCarthy, shut down the government. Shut down the government when it comes down to the debt ceiling debate. Take a listen.
By the way, what they did in the Senate, I believe, as a conservative, that was a disgrace.
Yeah.
I think, and they knew you were coming into power, and they knew they could have
Why
had more.
wouldn't they just
Why?
wait? If they waited, then we'd have a stronger hand.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be increasing it. And they increase the baseline where it just adds so much more to our children.
Let's talk about a moment, maybe it comes sooner, maybe it comes later, on the debt ceiling. And you know how the argument will unfold. It'll be Republicans are shutting down government. I've been around this game too long. Government never shuts down. Essential services will exist. Grandma, mom and dad, they're going to get their Social Security check. Medicare is not going to be shut down. The military is not going to be shut down. Now, there might be people that get furloughed, but odds are pretty high that when they get their free vacation, they will get back pay. But that will be the argument.
Yeah. So Hannity likes the idea here of the government shutdown.
Now the question will be, it'll become a game of chicken. And that is, Republicans are shutting down the government and they're not willing to raise the debt ceiling. And you're going to say, what?
Well, listen, it doesn't have to come to that. I've already spoken to the president. Let's sit down now.
Yeah. So Hannity likes the idea, and he says they'll say it's bad for the country when the government is shut down, but it's not really that bad for the country. Now, I disagree with that, and I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. Here's another example. New Republican Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She says she's also willing to support a shutdown of the government.
Oh, I just stand by because it's going to be a wild week.
Well, you know, some of your more moderate members within the Republican Party, as I'm sure you know, say that's a dangerous thing because it sets up almost a guaranteed government shutdown, and that because spending has been tied to renegotiating the debt limit or extending it, it's inevitable. Do you think it's inevitable that we'll be looking at a shutdown because of some of these measures that the Speaker agreed to?
I hope it doesn't get to that, but I'm willing to support one. And I do think that the Speaker made the correct decision in ensuring that we do cut against some of this pork runaway inflation and spending. And so
she's willing to support a government shutdown. Now, of course, there's two sides to this. The first side of it is that for many of these Republicans, the government being shut down is a feature, not a bug, in the sense that, as I've told you many times before, many of these right-wingers want government doing as little as possible. And so for them, when they say, oh, the government shut down, that's great. As much as we can take off of the list of things that government is doing, that's a good thing. Now, often they can't come out and publicly say that. But privately, many of them love government shutdown because they don't want the government doing stuff. They still want their paychecks, by the way, but they don't want government doing stuff. But it is not true that when the government is shut down over the debt ceiling, it doesn't impact anything. Now, in a sense, Yes, in the immediate, people continue to get Social Security checks. But when the government shuts down, essential government services stop being funded. That does include Social Security and Medicare. Now, in the immediate, people still get their checks, but it is not indefinitely true. And so the idea that it has no impact is, of course, a lie. It can also lead to a slowdown in the economy. When the government shuts down, government contracts, government purchases are put on hold. Government employees are furloughed. Sometimes they get back pay, sometimes they don't. It can cause job losses and financial difficulties for the government workers, but also for the private sector businesses that rely on government spending. Now, again, some of these Republicans love that. Some of these Republicans think the government shouldn't do deals with private businesses. The government shouldn't be spending. The government shouldn't be doing. The government should be shut down. That's their default. That's very extreme. We're talking about those in the middle who say, well, I want the government open in principle, but it's not that bad if it's shut down. It really can be very, very bad. It raises the risk of a debt default, which can have more than dire consequences. A default can lead to an increase in interest rates, and that makes it more expensive for the government to borrow money, for individuals and businesses to borrow money as a result of that. All of these things, when they say there's no negative impact, what I think they're saying is, if we contrive this deliberately, but it only lasts a little while, we will reopen after we've made our political point before things get too bad. But that's an extraordinarily cynical approach to how you do politics. And the truth is that a government shutdown is bad for the American people in all sorts of different ways. It's irresponsible, it's reckless, and they are willing to do it. They don't have principles, or at least the principles they have are very different than the ones they publicly state. A real principle for the 2023 Republican Party, or House Republicans, we could say, is let's do whatever we think is best for us politically over the next couple of years. That's a real principle. The principles they'll state are, we're for small government conservatism and freedom and liberty and the Constitution and supporting law enforcement and blah, 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 blah. Every single one of those we've seen abandoned when they're no longer convenient. The real principle that they pledge allegiance to in an unwavering fashion is one they won't say out loud. We will do whatever it takes to try to make Democrats look bad and to try to help ourselves for our own reelections and whatever the next election cycle is. They're making it very clear. They're saying it openly. And by the way, they're also now talking about diversity while in a room full of white people, emblematic of what the Republican Party is. I want to talk about that next. Did you know that half of Americans are deficient in vitamin A, vitamin C, and magnesium? Most Americans are deficient in vitamin D. I take vitamin D during the winter. It is sometimes difficult to eat exactly the right amount of each food to get exactly what you need. I just make my life simpler with AG1 by Athletic Greens. In the morning, 1 scoop of AG1, I get the entire day's worth of 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. It's what I want. It's no more. It's no less. It's not making any outlandish claims. It's just an easy, sustainable routine. I've tried different ways of taking vitamins. AG1 is cheaper. It's quicker. It's tastier. I'm not fumbling around with different capsules. It tastes great to drink straight with water. Sometimes I'll put it in a smoothie or shake. It's simple. It's something easy you can do going into the new year, staying properly nourished. Athletic Greens is giving my audience a free year's supply of vitamin D. I take that every day in winter. Plus, you'll get 5 free travel packs of AG1. Go to athleticgreens.com/Pacman. The link is down below.